Alright, welcome back. My name is Maximus Smith, and for the last 2.5 years, I've been the beta tester for an alternative to college called the Preparation. And the Preparation is about gaining as many skills as you can to become competent, confident, and dangerous within a 4-year time frame. And it's been going very well for me. I would be outside right now. That is the ideal place to make videos, and it would be better if I had a good microphone at the moment. But it's raining pretty heavily, and there's a tornado watch here in Illinois, in the Quad Cities. So maybe there will be an opportunity to go storm chasing. I've only done it once on a very, very, very cool spring break trip. I went storm chasing with Reed Timmer, very famous extreme meteorologist, and we drove through Oklahoma and Kansas with him and eventually intercepted a tornado around this time of night, probably 5:30, 6 p.m. in Kansas, and I think it was an EF2, pretty low on the Fujita scale, but it was cool, and it was scary because, it turned to night very quickly after that. And right when we saw the tornado, right as we were coming up on it, I was in Reed's car. My dad was in a rental car behind us. Right as we saw the tornado, it was to our left. We turned and looked, and then the tire blew on the truck. We weren't driving the Dominator, the cool armored cars. We didn't have that, unfortunately. It was just a regular SUV. But the tire blew. We had to all jump inside my dad's rental car, and there were probably 6 of us that all had to fit in there. And, people stacked on each other, and then we had to drive around as there were tornadoes all around us at night. We couldn't see anything. There was hail, and then eventually we had to come back around to the truck, which was still there. And pick it up, and it had to be towed somewhere because the tire was just completely ripped to shreds. It was crazy. So that probably won't happen today, but you never know. You never know. It looks pretty bad outside. But today, I want to talk about something a little different, and it's going to be a short video. Usually, I talk about the more serious subjects when it comes to the preparation, like a lesson I learned, and I'll tell you a story about that, or how you should do things a certain way in the preparation, something you should do specifically, or something you should do differently, or whatever. It's usually very serious. But today, based off of a comment, or more of a question I got from a new prepper, I wanted to talk about when you're having fun in the preparation, like what you need to do when you have fun. And this video is more specifically for people who are like me, who are introverted, more serious, or reserved. Some of you guys, I read your posts, some of you guys are very outgoing and extroverted, and you have no problem being very open to the world, which is a huge gift. And who knows, you might still get a few things out of this video, but I think some of you guys will be okay without it. Who knows? So this prepper, brand new prepper, is going to be starting the chef cycle, and I think he's already in Florence. And the whole thing with the chef cycle is you go to Florence, which is a beautiful part of Italy, and you're surrounded by all this history and great culture there. You go there, spend 1 to 3 months in this specific chef school where they will also teach you Italian. And of course, you can go outside the grounds of the school at any time when you're not learning how to cook something, and you'll stumble upon history no matter where you go. So it's a great place to learn. It's something that I would like to do at some point. It's something that my sister has planned to do later this year, and hopefully that comes to fruition. We'll see. But I got a notification from this guy who messaged me privately yesterday, or maybe today, and all I saw was, what are your thoughts on drinking when you're traveling? Or do you drink when you travel? I was like, that's kind of an interesting question, not what I would expect. And I said, yes. Why? Why do you ask? And he said, well, it's a principle for me. I want to be principled and not drink. Um, but I feel like I might miss out on some social things if I choose specifically not to drink. I haven't answered him yet, but who knows if he'll watch this video, but I'll answer him afterwards. I have never had the personal principle of not drinking. It's just not something I've ever done, and I respect people who do, and who are very adamant about it. Being principled is always a good thing. But I want to share a story, a very recent story from Japan that I think might change your mind about it. I mean, there's some moments where you do, especially if you're reserved, introverted, you do want to kind of tone it down a little bit, tone down the seriousness and open up. Sometimes you need some liquid courage to open up. And maybe it's not even that, but the environment in which you drink typically invites openness, and it's very different. So anyway, before I went to Japan, my dad, who knows me very well, said, make it a goal to be as open as possible. It's part of your personality to be somewhat closed off, introverted, judgmental, but try to put that to the side and just be as open as possible. And even if that means you have to act, then act. Think of how Brad Pitt would act and play his part. Play his part. When you're walking around Japan, when you're doing stuff, just act. Play the part. If that forces you to be open. And I needed to hear that because I know the outcome of going to Japan, especially with my fiance, who is naturally much more extroverted and open than I am, would have been very different if I had not followed what he said. Even if I went alone, it would have been very different. So I did it. And the experience was so much better. Those 3 weeks that I was there, the first 3 weeks that I was there were very fun. And I did a lot of things that I wouldn't normally do. Walking around a lot, going to different places, restaurants, just checking things out. Going to an arcade, not something I would typically do. And we were staying in Tokyo for a little while. And then we had just recently come back from skiing in the mountains of Japan for just a few days, and we're now in Osaka. And we just got into this new Airbnb, and we're looking around for places to eat. So we found this one place that was about 15 minutes away. We walked there, and if you've ever been to Japan, you know that so many restaurants, so many bars are tiny, and they maybe they seat 10 to 20 people, sometimes less, which is really nothing compared to anywhere else in the world, really. So we open the door, we walk in to this restaurant, and everybody's staring at us because we're foreigners, and it was really awkward. And it was obvious to tell right away, there's absolutely no seating. None at all. So I was looking on my phone, and I found this one place that was a bar, but they happened to serve food as well. And we walked there, and we turned down this alley, and I saw it, and it's another one of these hole-in-the-wall places that seriously only seated maybe 10 people. It was tiny, absolutely tiny. So we open these doors, we duck under these, I don't even know what you would call it, but they have them everywhere, um, at the door, and you have to duck underneath them. I don't even know what it is. It's like banners that you have to walk underneath. Um, and being like 6'1", I walk in and I take up most of the space because every place there in Japan is tiny. So immediately draw attention, which is automatically uncomfortable for me. Uh, when I go places, I want to blend in as much as possible, which again, as a foreigner in Japan is very hard, especially if you're tall and blonde. But we walk in, we sit down, we order a few things, and it's a bar, we're drinking, and I started to think, because I was feeling uncomfortable, and I wanted to open up the room a little bit, make it more like a bar in the States, where you could walk in a small bar, and chances are everybody's talking to everybody else. Like it's very open, relaxed, comfortable. And so I thought, you know what, there's about 6 people in here. I'm just gonna, because my fiance is half Japanese and she speaks Japanese, I'm just gonna tell her, the next time we order something, tell the bartender that I'll buy one drink uh, for everybody in here. Whatever they want. One drink for everybody. And she looked at me and she went, okay. Like surprised that I would say that, coming from the introvert. And bartender comes over and she tells him, and he looks surprised. So he starts pouring all these drinks. And then he says, he hands them to people, and nobody registered that they hadn't paid for these drinks or hadn't asked for them. And he says, basically, at least from context, from what I could tell, everybody, I just want to let you know, this this guy paid for all your drinks, or paid for this drink for all you guys in here. And they all turned to me, and it was surprising. It was interesting. It was a strange moment. But the room opened up, and all of a sudden, especially as foreigners, people feel, in Japan, people feel slightly uncomfortable talking to you. But then people were talking to us, and then realizing my fiance can speak Japanese, the room opened up even more. So I didn't even have to do any of the talking at that point, even though they asked me a few questions. I just had to translate through her. But everything changed in that moment. And it, they wanted to take pictures with us because we're foreigners again. The bartender, and he was the bar owner actually, was very nice. I'm just gonna shift this a little bit because the sun is coming out now. The bartender was very nice, and he said, whenever you're back, let me know. Please come back here. We want to see you back here again. So from that one moment where, everybody has had a few drinks, everybody's, more open than they would otherwise be, especially Japanese people. Much more open than they would otherwise be in normal everyday life. There was a new memory, a new experience created from that. And all I had to do was spend maybe an extra $20 for that to happen. And like I said, I barely had to do any of the talking. But I guarantee that if I'd gone in alone and done the same thing, it would have been a similar outcome. And I actually was communicating with a woman next to me via Google Translate, actually, or ChatGPT is what it was. We were communicating through that, and I was asking her questions about some festival they were having in the area very soon. So when it comes to the preparation and the moments where you should be having fun, which is something I tend to neglect quite a lot. Usually I am just 100% serious, go, 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 uh, nonstop. You know, what else do I need to read? What other certification do I need to get? What do I need to get done? But there are moments when you're in certain places, especially a foreign country, where um, as long as you do it within reason, you should be much more open than you would otherwise be. And usually, the moments where you're going to be more open and it's going to be much more natural and comfortable, uh, and things are going to flow better are in situations where you are going to drink or could drink. So, you know, you don't have to drink, but it could be a good supplement to an experience that could be uh, interesting. So I would say that, but I would also say, going back to what my dad told me when I first went to Japan. Sorry, the sun is super bright. All of a sudden, you're just gonna have to deal with this crazy variation in lighting over the last 15 minutes. Um, but going back to what my dad said to me, you really do have to act sometimes, and it's not fake. At least it shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be acting to the point where you're not you. It's just that if you're more reserved, or if you believe that in a specific moment it would be better for you to be more extroverted than acting like, for me, one of my favorite actors is Brad Pitt. I like Legends of the Fall. I like Troy. Um, I like a lot of movies that he's in. And so I have a good idea of what his acting style is, and I can try to emulate that in the real world during small moments where it would be beneficial for me not to be how I usually am, which is, you know, quiet and um, reserved again. So, in those moments, things are made so much more entertaining, so much more fun if you can act just a little bit. Um, and again, drinking is sometimes beneficial. Um, so I think that's all I have to say about this topic for now, and I hope that story kind of illustrated why the combination of those two things, acting a little bit, choose your favorite actor, and you know, try to act like them, and then putting yourself in more environments when it's time to have fun, um, or when you should be having fun, in environments that are more open as well, and sometimes, actually more often than not, environments where drinking is involved are some of the best environments for interesting, spontaneous experiences. There can be a lot of bad things that happen in those same environments, but there's a balance. You have to be cautious, um, especially if you're a woman. It's a very different story. Actually, it is a very different story. So this is for men here. Very different story for women. But in those moments, when the time is right, when you should be having fun or know you should be having fun, drinking can be a good supplement for that. So anyway, this is also a reminder to have more fun in the preparation. I mean, I think you should like go, go, go nonstop pretty much all the time. Most of the time, the great majority of the time, you should be, pursuing new skills. You should be reading. Um, you should have a fairly long um, to-do list every day. Maybe it's not a long to-do list, but a very solid to-do list. Some things that you have to do every day, and you should pursue that consistently. You should have plans for the year. So you should be planning what you're going to be doing the rest of the year. You should constantly be chasing after improvement and skill, competency. But in these moments, again, especially when you're traveling to foreign countries, there are, it's silly not to have fun. So, anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later.